there, my name's Toria and today we're going to talk about the 12 most useful or essential or my favourite things that I used in the first 12 months of my baby's life. When I was expecting my baby boy, I watched a lot of these kinds of videos trying to figure out what I needed, what I didn't need, what I wanted to have, what might be useful, what might not be useful. So I thought I would kind of return the favour and do my version. I'll also give links in the description below to as many of the items as I can. Some of them I won't be able to do that with, but most I think I will. First up is the Tutti Bambini Cozy By The Bed Crib. There are a lot of By The Bed cribs available and I'm sure all of them are great, but this one was particularly useful for us because we have a very tall bed and this one goes really quite high. So you can actually attach this to your bed. It's got the straps, a fold down bit, got the straps to attach it to the bed so you can co-sleep. We didn't choose that option because, like I say, our bed is very high. I wouldn't have felt comfortable doing it, but it is high enough that the mesh window I could easily see through from a lying down position, obviously from a sitting up position. And I just found that the height of it matched very well with our unusually high bed. I also love that because you can raise and lower the level, it also means that you can tilt one side, which is very handy if you've got a poorly one, because then you can tilt them down a little bit so that things don't settle in the night when they're sleeping and they can still breathe easily. It also came with a travel bag and was really easy to take apart and put back up, which was very handy for us if we were ever going anywhere, which we did a couple of times just in this country so we could take it with us. Next up are these two bath seats. Originally I bought a tub, you know, like the bath seat tub thing that's like its own separate unit, but the way it was shaped kind of crushed my little one in areas that you don't want to crush. So we only used that once. He hated it. It was not a good time. And I went online, found the Angel Care bath seat, and then we used that for months. We used it until he could sit up. That was, of the two, definitely my favorite one. I found it so easy to wash him, lean him forwards, wash his hair. It was great. But then when he could sit up, we had to switch because he wasn't stable enough yet to go without a bath seat. So I got this one, which I think is safety first, and it swivels, his legs went through it nice and easily, had a little ball on it on the front to keep him entertained, and it just helped with that transition period. Now we don't use a bath seat at all, we haven't used one for a while. I just have a bath mat to help stop him slipping, but these two were very helpful for baths. While we're in the realm of hygiene, let's talk nappies and nappy changes. So I have a little boy, I mentioned that. Little boys tend to pee when you're changing them, when they're very, very little. Thankfully that doesn't happen very much anymore, but it happened pretty much every time when he was a newborn. So in a crazed 3 a.m, how do I handle this, because this is getting ridiculous, I bought 60 flannels. Now, obviously, you don't need 60 flannels. That was a sleep-deprived mistake. But the flannels have been incredibly useful. I now only have 10. I've donated or gifted the rest of them onto other mums, but the 10 that I have been invaluable. Basically, what I would do is fold it and place it and hold it so that if he peed, it stopped it going anywhere, do all the cleaning I need to do, and then if he hadn't peed, I could use it to dry him, or I could grab another one to dry him. So even if you don't need one of these because you've not got a little boy, I also recommend them for just nappy changes in general because we had a problem with the wetness from the wet wipes causing issues with like nappy rash and such. So these being able to use to dry as well was very, very helpful. Sticking with the nappy theme, I tried a lot of nappies. A lot of nappies. Everyone tries a lot of nappies, trying to find the nappy that works best for their tiny baby. The first nappies I got were actually given to me by my sister-in-law. She made me a nappy cake, and it lasted us a surprisingly long time. It was like a 3-tiered thing. It was fantastic. And the nappies she used for it were predominantly the newborn nappies from Tesco, and I loved them, and I was sold, and that's what we kept getting until he grew out of size 1 and 2. After that, I went to buy the Tesco ones again, and the size 3 didn't have an elasticated back, and we were getting a lot of explosions. So it quickly dawned on me, I needed to find more elasticated nappies. And it turns out most of them aren't, so I did a lot of research, asked a lot of people, and found out that the Aldi premium nappies have an elasticated back. So I got those in a size 3, they worked, it was fantastic, the sticky tabs were really strong. But unfortunately, our Aldi doesn't stock the size 4 and 5 that they also make. So I had to find another solution. The other ones that I knew were elasticated were Asda and Sainsbury's. I didn't like the Asda ones, but they do work for some people, of course, because otherwise they wouldn't make them. The Sainsbury's ones, however, they had a really strong elasticated back, and those were great. So we switched to those for size 4 and then started using them in size 5. But then he started to figure out how to open the tabs. So now we switched to nappy pants, and they're all elasticated, which is great. But prior to being able to use a nappy pant, if you are having a lot of explosions, I would highly recommend elasticated nappies. So I'll write down again in the description which ones we used, but just to run through it again, we started off with Tesco Newborn, then we switched to Aldi Premium. You could just use Aldi Premium the whole time. Then we went to Sainsbury's, which you could just use the whole time. Asda also do an elasticated back, and then of course nappy pants are all elasticated. Now I know some of you are going to be thinking, but why aren't you doing reusable nappies? I wanted to, I really wanted to, but I found just the overwhelm of becoming a parent a bit much. And my plans for doing reusable nappies kind of went out the window. Maybe I'll jump into that world if we have a baby number 2. But for now, we're using the disposable ones. I'm very sorry, but we are. And now moving on to a clothing item. Zip Baby Grows. This is actually his current baby grow. It's his pajamas, but it has a zip and it makes it very easy to take this off, put it on. He doesn't get bothered that it's taking ages. I love a zip baby grow. When he was first a newborn, we only had poppers. And poppers are great. There is nothing wrong with poppers. If you like poppers, fantastic. We struggled with poppers. Poppers were a little bit of a problem for us. But a friend gifted us a zipped baby grow, and it was a game changer. We started switching to entirely zip baby grows. Downside of this, they are more expensive. But if you are able to get them, or you could get them secondhand, maybe on Vinted or eBay or something, which we also did, I would recommend them. It's a tiny little thing because it doesn't take that long to do the popper ones compared to the zip ones, but when you've got a screaming baby and they're upset about the fact that you're not cuddling them because they're lying on their changing mat, it really helps that it's just that little bit quicker. That said, the poppers are worth it sometimes, because this is one of my favorite baby grows that we had for my little boy. Oh my god, look at that size difference. Ooh. This one's 0 to 1 month, and this one is now, so it's 12 to 18 months. Look at that! But I would say that the poppers are sometimes absolutely worth it for things that you especially love, and this is my favorite. I love this so much. Next up is our monitor situation. I say situation because we've got something I think a little unconventional, but it works really well for us. And if you're a bit of an anxious person, it might also be good for you, because I am a bit of an anxious person, and I do wonder if I had issues with postpartum anxiety. It was all related to my baby's sleep. I was very obsessive about his naps, making sure that he had enough of them. If he didn't sleep, I lost my mind a little bit. I was so worried about him. It was irrational. You can get all sorts of fancy video monitors, and they are fantastic if that is what you want. I knew though that if I had that, I would probably never stop looking at it. So we had it recommended by a friend to get just a simple, basic audio monitor. We got this Motorola one. It's just simple. It's literally just an audio monitor. There's one up in his room, and then I have the receiver down here. Can move it around if I need to. Sometimes I take it into the kitchen with me, and it's silent all the time unless he makes a noise. So it starts to make sounds if he wakes up or if he stirs, and you just hear the static come on. And you can turn the volume up and down. It's basic. It's great. It's basic. That said, because of the anxious thing, I do want to be able to see him and check that he's okay. So our solution was to get a Ring security cam and put it in his room. We have a Ring doorbell, and we decided to get the security camera around the same time, and it's just set up in his room, pointed, well, you can see pretty much the whole room, but it's pointed at his cot. And this is what it looks like through the camera. Do you like my mini PJs? And it means that I can just go on my phone and check to see if he's asleep still, if he's moving about. It also has a function where you can record the video, so if he has woken up, I can check when. I can also see like how he was through the night. Did he move around a lot? Is he okay? Like, that's been handy when he's slept in the morning and I'm worried about him. I'm like, oh my God, is he okay? Do I need to check on him? I can just look back through the video and check that he has been moving through the night, has moved recently. It's all good. He's just sleeping in. So the two combined is definitely what works for me. It's what I'll be doing again in the future. If you feel comfortable without having a video function, the audio monitor is absolutely great. If you want a video function, it might be worth getting a full video monitor. But if you want a little half and half like we've got, security camera and the audio monitor. Related to sleep is the Hatch sound machine. Now, I'll preface this by saying I only got this machine about 9 months along. Before that, we were using the Amazon devices. We were using Alexa. She's gonna think I'm talking to her now. And that worked great, but we did find that when I had used the rain sounds function on it, we couldn't ask that device anything anymore because it would temporarily cut out during the question, whatever we were asking her. It was also a little unreliable. Sometimes it would turn off after an hour, other times just randomly through the night. So while it did work great for us for a long time, we ran into enough problems that I started to look into another solution. We were also going to go on holiday and I couldn't really bring that with us, so I was trying to figure out a solution. And I looked into some of the cheaper sound machines and they are great. Like, if you want a cheaper sound machine, absolutely do that. But I wanted to get the Hatch sound machine because of the app and the Bluetooth function where I can just go on my phone and change the settings without having to go into his room. Now, the reason I wanted a sound machine is my baby is a bit of a light sleeper. So having the white noise playing in his room in the direction that he'll hear sounds from, it kind of helps just level the overall sound of the house while he's asleep. On top of that, the nightlight function is great because I haven't tested it recently. We're about to find out because we're heading into winter. But he doesn't like the dark, or at least he didn't like the dark. So having the nightlight function gives this nice sort of ambiance in the room without it being overpowering or too dark. You can also change the settings. You can change it to be brighter or dimmer, whatever you would prefer. You can change the color of the light. So I use a nice little amber kind of color through the night. And then I have another function for wake up, which is blue, and it has bird sounds. And it may be coincidence, it may not, but I would say that his nighttime sleep overall since switching has improved. So very happy about that. 2 thumbs up from me. Next item is only really beneficial if you're breastfeeding and isn't actually something that I used in the first 12 months, but definitely would recommend having if you're planning to breastfeed in the first 12 months. And that is a hands-free breast pump. Right at the beginning when my son was born, I bought a breast pump, but it was one with like tubes and things, and it was a bit complicated to set up and use. And also I just didn't like it. I really didn't like it. I'm not a breast pump fan, but they do have their benefits. And then mine broke and I really needed to use a breast pump, and I managed to borrow one that was hands-free, and it was a game changer. Like, I could keep doing things whilst pumping. It was fantastic. I think the one I borrowed was the Mom Cozy. I will link it below. This one here. And if you are planning on breastfeeding and you want to have a breast pump as well, I would definitely recommend this. You just, put it on inside your bra and you can carry on doing your thing. So while it isn't something that I actually used in the first 12 months because my boy stopped breastfeeding at 12 and a half months and that's when I borrowed this, I absolutely would want one of these in the next time we have the first 12 months. Moving on to my baby carrier, which just looks like a little bundle like this. I've like packaged it up because I haven't used it in a while. But I used this pretty much every day from the day I got it to maybe around 9 or 10 months, 8 or 9 months. This is the Integra baby carrier. Here is a picture of me using it. It comes in all sorts of designs. I mean, there's no surprise that I chose the one with gnomes and mushrooms. But if gnomes and mushrooms aren't your thing, that's okay. They have a lot of other designs. You could just get plain ones, nice simple patterned ones, other eclectic patterned ones. But this is super comfy, super lightweight, and incredibly easy to put on. It's literally just the waist strap and then the shoulder straps, and you just clip them in, and then it's got a two-way tightener on each side so you can tighten forwards or backwards. Very handy, very easy when you've got a crying baby who needs to go in a carrier and have a sleep. The only downside I would say with this is it is not forward facing, so I don't use it anymore because I'm pretty sure my boy would not want to be doing anything other than facing out unless he was going to sleep, and to be honest, he sleeps for like an hour or two, so wearing him for an hour or two and standing up is just not really practical for me anymore. But for a littler one, when asleep, this was fantastic. Next up, we have silicone bibs. We tried a number of bibs. We had the fabric ones, we had one of the big long sleeve ones that kind of covers all of him, and we had the silicone bibs. Silicone? And of the three that we tried, the silicone ones were definitely the favorite, and it's because it catches everything. So the fabric ones, yes, it would catch dribbles and things, but everything would go on his lap. And the sleeve ones, we would have a similar problem of, yes, it would catch everything and it would cover his clothes, but if he moved or like picked it up, which he did, not so great. The bucket silicone bibs were a bit heavier for him. He couldn't like pick it up as much. Now he can, but if he dribbled anything, it would catch it. If he dropped crumbs, it would catch it. If he just like smeared something on himself, it would catch it. They have been invaluable. Now we're going to move on to resources and informational things that will help, hopefully. Starting with this baby-led weaning book. Who is this by? Jennifer House. I didn't want to do baby-led weaning. I had no intention of doing baby-led weaning. We were going to do purees. My son had other ideas. We gave him purees for like 2 days, and then he just went, no thank you, I do not want this, and tried to eat our food. So we did baby-led weaning. We started him on, the usual soft finger foods, and he did great with it. I was terrified, which didn't help things, by the way. If you are doing baby-led weaning and you are scared, it might rub off on your baby, so try not to be scared. That happened to us. I had to rein in my fear and be very encouraging, and then he was fine. But I didn't really know what I was doing with baby-led weaning. I looked at a lot of videos, it really helped, but I found this a fantastic resource for why baby-led weaning is a good idea. And also there's a ton of recipes in here to kind of help you get started if you don't really know where you're going with things when you move beyond just the basic steamed broccoli stage. This was actually recommended by another YouTuber that I watch called Delilah Letke's Life, I think is how you say her channel name. She recommended this, I bought it straight away, and I have not looked back. Another resource is Wonder Weeks. It's an app and it tells you about the developmental leaps and when your baby is going to be experiencing those developmental leaps and whether they may or may not be approaching or in a fussy phase related to those leaps. Not everyone believes in leaps, that's okay, it's fine. But we found that leaps were very much a thing for us, and usually the app was spot on with guessing when it was going to happen and when the fussy phase was going to be. At the beginning, we used to look at it a lot. So we would be like, oh, there is one coming up, and this is what it's going to be about, and this is how long it's going to last. Now it's more of a thing of, he's fussy. I wonder why he's fussy. Can you check the app? And we look, and it's telling us that we're in a leap, and it's the fussy phase, and we're going, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, makes sense. But when your baby's just going through a bit of a fussy phase, and you're trying to figure out what it is, like, is it teething? Are they ill? Maybe it's a leap. And this just helps eliminate that as a question as to whether it's that or not. So if you don't believe in leaps, that's fine. But if you do, I found this very helpful. And finally, one for the mums, a bonus item, Audible. Or another audiobook subscription or podcasts or something to listen to for if you have a baby like mine who will not sleep anywhere except on the move. He only sleeps in his cot now, so I don't get to do this anymore, and I do miss it. But listening to audiobooks on those walks that I would do every day for months really, really helped. My baby would only sleep on the move, so he was either asleep in the pram or he was asleep in the carrier, and it meant that I was walking for 2 or 3 hours every day. So I used that time to listen to books because having a baby makes it really hard to read if you like reading. And walking that much on your own can feel, well, not on your own because you've got your baby there, but it can feel quite lonely if you're just walking around with a sleeping baby. So having audiobooks or some other lovely thing like that to listen to can really help. So that was it. That was my 12 essential items for the first 12 months of my baby's life, plus one bonus item for mama. The links for these items are in the description below, and let me know if there's anything that I missed off that would have been an essential for you in the comments below. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Bye bye.